All right, so let's get right into it. Today, we're going to take a simple little fable, one you might have even heard before, and we're going to pull it apart. Why? Because hidden inside this little tale about a cap seller and some monkeys is a really powerful, timeless masterclass in strategic thinking. And it all comes down to this one simple idea. It's the notion that a real victory, well, it doesn't always come from having the most power or the biggest weapons. It comes from clever insight. And we're about to see that exact principle play out in a very unusual case study. So, this is really the central question for our explainer today. How on earth can a regular old cap seller and a bunch of monkeys teach us pretty much everything about strategy? It sounds a little nuts, I know, but stick with me because the answer reveals something really fundamental about how to solve problems, not with brute strength, but with sharp observation. Okay, so to really get the brilliance of the solution, we first have to understand the totally ordinary situation that kicked this whole thing off. Let's set the scene. So picture this. Our main guy is just a cap seller. His daily grind is super simple. He goes to town, sells his caps, makes a living. After a few hours, the sun's beating down, he's getting tired, and he does what any of us would do. He finds a nice big shady tree to take a little break. He sets his basket of caps down right beside him, and he falls asleep. It's a completely normal, unremarkable moment. But, this is the calm before the storm. And here is where a very normal day gets very, very weird. The seller's quiet nap gets interrupted, and he's suddenly dropped right into the middle of a bizarre problem. And his first reaction? It's pure instinct. And, as we're about to see, it's completely the wrong move. I mean, can you even imagine? He wakes up, he looks over at his basket, and it's empty. He probably panics for a second, looks around, and then he looks up. And there, in the tree above him, is a whole troop of monkeys, and every single one of them is wearing one of his caps. It's got to be this surreal, frustrating, and honestly kind of hilarious moment. So what does he do? Well, he reacts with pure emotion, right? Anger, frustration. He defaults to the most basic strategy there is, aggression. He figures he's just going to scare these monkeys into giving his stuff back. And this kicks off a perfect feedback loop of absolute failure. He shouts at them, they just shriek right back. So he escalates. He starts throwing stones up at them. And what do? They escalate right back, throwing mangoes down at him. He's meeting force with more force, and it's creating a total stalemate. He is getting nowhere, and he's probably just getting covered in sticky mango juice. Now this is the turning point of the entire story. He's frustrated, he's exhausted, and he finally stops reacting and starts actually observing. And in that one quiet moment, everything is about to change. And there it is, the light bulb moment. He realizes they aren't just being chaotic. They aren't really fighting him in the way he thought. They're mirroring him. Every single thing he does, they copy. And that one little observation is infinitely more powerful than all the stones in the world. Now, what our seller stumbled onto is a real recognized behavior, mimicry. I mean, he probably didn't know the scientific name for it, but he understood the principle perfectly. The monkeys were operating on a really simple, predictable script. See something? Do something. And this is the core of the strategic shift. He stops seeing the monkeys as these random, chaotic enemies. He starts seeing them as a system with a simple, exploitable rule. The problem isn't, how do I beat them anymore? Now, the problem is, how do I use their own nature to get what I want? So, armed with this incredible new insight, the seller doesn't need force anymore. He now has the blueprint for a really elegant, really intelligent solution that uses absolutely zero aggression. What he does next is basically a perfect strategic framework. First, he observed their behavior. Imitation. Second, he came up with a hypothesis. If I do something, they will copy it. Third, he ran a test. He takes off his own cap and throws it on the ground. This was the brilliant, calculated risk. And finally, execution. The monkeys, right on cue, follow their predictable pattern. They all take off their caps and throw them down too. It worked. It worked perfectly. So all he has to do is calmly collect his caps, put them back in his basket, and walk away. No more shouting. No more stones, no more wasted energy. He didn't win the fight by overpowering them, he won by outthinking them. So why does this little story stick with us? What's the big deal? Well, it's because this isn't really just a story about a man and some monkeys. It's about a universal way of looking at and solving problems. And that brings us full circle.
right back to that proverb from the beginning. This whole story is just a living, breathing demonstration of that exact truth. The seller's first weapons, his shouting and his stones, they were completely useless. It was his wisdom, that flash of insight into how the monkeys behaved, that was the real key that unlocked the whole problem.
So what are the big takeaways here for us? Well, a few things. First, always try to understand the nature of your problem or your opponent before you react. Second, remember that brute force is often just a trap that creates a frustrating, pointless cycle. Third, the absolute best solutions often use your opponent's own energy and patterns against them. And finally, just taking a moment to step back and observe is almost always more powerful than just jumping in with aggression. And that's the final thought I really want to leave you with today. Think about it. In our jobs, in arguments, in our personal challenges, where are we stuck in a stalemate, just throwing stones at a problem over and over again? And what might happen if we just stopped, observed for a minute, and tried a different approach, one based not on force, but on just a little bit of wisdom?